If you look on Amazon's jobs website, you'll notice that 12 of the 14 leadership principles start with the word leaders, and this should give you a good idea on the level of emphasis that Amazon puts here. So in this video I'm going to talk about how to answer behavioral questions related with leadership, and I'll also reference 3 of Amazon's leadership principles, that of deliver results, dive deep, and hire and develop the best. An interesting example to talk about here is when I led a team of 7 developers, and the challenge being here that because of their different religious beliefs, it was quite hard to both read their minds, but also to keep them motivated. And also, since they were working remotely from me, we had to do everything, most of the things through the internet, and also that internet connection had to be most of the time through text. So for this, I ensured that I would over communicate and basically have a daily discussion with most members of my team, and I also delegated a team lead there just to ensure that everything would work out smoothly. And in fact, I also used the fact that we used text to my advantage, because we could also track all our communications. So we could, if problems would arise, we would always be making data-driven decisions. So in the end, this worked out quite nicely. I mean, I managed to keep retention quite low, and 2 of them actually stayed for around 7 years. Now, if there's one piece of advice that I would like to give you here when answering leadership related questions and working with other people, is that you should always employ diplomacy. Diplomacy is the best way to get out of, to ensure that your interviewer feels confident about your ability to motivate other people and to basically be the right fit for that job. And now it won't score you many points unless you add some spice to the story, but diplomacy is very important to showcase these things. Now, another thing I wanted to say here is that maybe some of you have never led a team within a professional context, but then you should, of course, go to your school projects, and I'm sure I mean, it's impossible not to have had a group project, and even you leading that initiative, or if you didn't lead that initiative, that's fine. But you could also have employed some techniques to keep other members of the team motivated there. So yeah, I hope I hope I gave you enough detail here to build your own example. One particular example that I remember that is relevant to your question is where I led a team of IT professionals, and as you might know, in IT it's quite normal to renegotiate benefits quite often. So for this, I ensured that they would always stay motivated. They would also always feel like their work is meaningful, and they were also working for 6 days a week, which I was very grateful for. But I always tried to be a step ahead and to predict their needs. And of course, it was inevitable that some of them asked for things such as raises every now and then. And in one such instance where one particularly talented developer asked me for a raise, I sat down and talked to him, and in fact it turned out that the reason that he wanted to leave to a competing business was not because of the payment itself, but because he wasn't getting along too well with their team lead. So I discussed then with the team lead, and then we also scheduled a meeting within the 3 of us, and basically ensured that everyone was quite happy. And in fact, that developer stayed on the project for another 2 years. So I believe this example is pretty straightforward to understand. I mean, I motivated my team by over-communicating as much as I could, and by predicting their needs, which are all essential skills if you want to be good at these things. Now, notice if you'll remember the results part of my answer. I said that they stayed on with the team for another 2 years, which not only is good news, but it's also profitable for the business itself. So if you can, try to showcase within the results section of your answers that this was actually good for the company. Now, if you watch some of my previous examples, you know that this environment was actually an outsourcing one. So you cannot always expect those people to be the best in the world, but given my context, given my including my financial abilities, these were the best people that I could find and hire and develop. Why not? So the point that I wanted to make here is that I lowered my standards. I didn't go that I hired only the best in the world and the most expensive people in the world, but the best for the job. And I took it from then on and did my best to hire and develop them to suit my needs as good as I could. I remember while in a previous business venture, 3 years after starting it, things were no longer heading in the right direction. I mean, the people felt demotivated because the business was not winning over any new clients, and I was actually in charge of the technical part of things, so I really felt like the project was the crossroads. So because of this, I felt it was important that I stepped up and try to gain clarity for this project. So I gathered with the main stakeholders in this project and achieved this goal by deciding on a new round of a 3 months enhancements. So which I was in charge of the technical part, so I was leading those efforts. Now those 3 months were probably the hardest 3 months in technical project management of my life, because you see, I always had to over-communicate with my team to ensure that they would stay motivated, and everyone understood the situation was particularly tense. But despite that, we managed to deliver, and this is also one of my proudest achievements here of dealing with such pressure, that we managed to achieve the features that we had to implement with great quality before the timeline, the originally estimated timeline, and on the given budget. We didn't have to hire any other external resources for this, and so I'm quite proud of achieving this goal within a very tense setup. Now, my first piece of advice here is that you should be particularly careful when talking about these types of examples about negative experiences or challenging experience, because first and foremost, it's very easy to put the blame on someone else, or not even to think about putting the blame, but putting it anyway. And also there is a good amount of risk here that you will end this example on a very bad note, which you might feel entitled to say because you were leading the project, and if it ended badly, yeah, okay, it ended badly, but during an interview, the goal is to showcase your strengths, and if you end it on a negative note, then the follow-up questions will be on a negative note, right? So then your chances of success within that interview will be significantly lower. So notice also here how I employed the Amazon's principle of leaders are right a lot. So in this example, I correctly predicted that the project was spiraling into a bad direction, and while I didn't say it in the example itself, you notice that there was an unusually high amount of drama there. So there was something going on, and this is why I believe it's a great example for these types of scenarios. Now, one of the best way to prepare for answering these types of behavioral questions about leadership within a team context is to really try and answer as many as you can. And here is a list with some variations on this same topic. And just as a closing note here on the same topic of leadership, I have a whole series about leadership on my YouTube channel. So if you're already technically sound for the job and your time allows, I would invite you to watch that series. Thank you for watching.